Hello everybody, it's Big Al with more content on Lord of the Rings Rise to War. Today I'm going to do a video on tanks. I am in a roleplay server, so I am going to focus just solely on the good side tanks and what that means. I've done videos individually on these characters, but I want to do one as a comparison. So, if we go to this lineup I made, these are the 4 tanks really available for good side. Some people will want to say Gil is a tank or Gandalf the White is a tank. They are not true tanks. They are supports that you can use as tanks. And I really hate to say use as tanks. They can be used to absorb hits. Their true and sole purpose in the game is not to tank. Where Frodo, Falgon, Zeldor, and honestly Boromir, that is their job, is to tank, to take the hits. They are focused just on taking hits. Yeah, they can support their fellow commanders or troops inside the formation, but their sole purpose is to tank. If they didn't do anything else, it would be okay. So I kind of arranged these in the order that I think are the tanks. For good side, Frodo, I believe, is the best tank in the game. At a close second is Falgon, but if he gets his relic, he becomes the best tank in the game. The one problem with Falgon is he has to be used with dwarf units. Zeldor, he is a good tank as well. I place him as 3rd, and then Boromir is 4th, and he is the last true tank in the good side. So I'm going to take a quick look at each one of them. Actually, first I'm going to go talk about the gear, because all of their gear for the tanks are the same. What you want in your tanks is command and unit defense. I have a couple gold items for my Frodo. Ignore the gear set. It's just what I could make, but I also share his gear with other commanders. But as you can see, it has command and it has unit defense. Same thing with the helmet. The armor, no armor gives command. The only thing armor gives you is hit points, but it has the unit defense. And then the Drums of Moria gives command and unit defense. So I am going to show you what the best in slot purple gear looks like. There's a lot of debate whether the gear set effect thick armor is better than fortitude. With fortitude, it does minus 12% physical damage. Yes, there is troop damage, there's focus damage, but the thing is, the biggest power in the game is physical damage. You're going to take your most damage from a damage dealer like Dane or Bjorn. They deal physical damage, shadow, all of them. Okay, so fortitude gives minus 12% when it's a full 4-piece set. If we go to thick armor, it gives plus 10 or plus 24 defense, and that is for the commander and the unit. But the problem is, when it comes out all said and done, the extra 24 thick armor, it does last for the entire battle, but percentage wise, it's only going to take, I want to say, 2 to 3% of all damage received away by having that extra 24 unit defense. And that's a rough estimate on the numbers. I personally think fortitude is the best. But back to what we were talking about. These are the best in slot purple gear for any tank, whether it's Frodo, Falgon, Isildur, or Boromir. I'm going to go over a couple of skills that are very important. Like with Frodo, his most important skill for when he's tanking is Master of Bag End. He receives minus 30% damage, and that's when it's maxed out. That is big. Plus, if you have Fortitude, you're adding an extra 12% physical damage reduction as well. His other skill is Ring Bearer, so you have a 35% chance to evade damage taken. It also gives 25% chance to succumb to madness, but when you upgrade it to level 5, you become immune. Zeldor also has this skill on Ring Bearer. So those are the two important skills on Frodo. Now we're going to go to Falgon and talk about his skills. So with his skills, you have Thrain's Guard, which is pretty much a white council for dwarves. When it's fully maxed out, damage taken by dwarf units in 3 allied formations for the first 6 hits is minus 30%. But when it's maxed out, it's the first 8 instances, and it's modified by command stat. Remember, all tanks you're building with unit defense and command, so it's going to get modified. Here's another. This is his tank skill. For each type of dwarf formation unit in your army, defense of the commander's formation plus 10, up to 2 stacks. So what that means, if say you're running 3 commanders with guardians, you're only going to get plus 10. Now, if you're running, say, a guardian, a ram rider, an axe thrower, that's 3 different unit types. So what that does is you're going to get plus 30, but it stacks. So comes round 3, you could have plus 90. You could even have plus 120 if you're doing all dwarf units. But another skill that helps him tank is his Musician, because it restores hit points to the commander's formation. It's modified by focus, which you don't need to really worry about, because that's not his main priority. His main priority is command, because Thrain's Guard and Ered Luin Expedition all modify off of command. Actually, sorry, Ered Luin doesn't modify off command. Thrain's Guard does, which again is the dwarf version of White Council, which White Council is probably one of the most important skills in the game. So now we're going to go to Boromir. No, we're going to go to Zeldor next. As you can see, I have mine low respect, but we can still talk about the skills. So he has the Ring Bearer, which is the evade, which we were talking about, which is 35% chance. So pretty much, if you average it out, it's 1 every 3 rounds. This is his important tanking skill. Defense plus 5 when 3 allied formations receive damage from the next 8 hits. It's modified by command. Once you max it out, you get 10 instances of damage. The one problem I have with this skill is that the effect gradually decreases each time damage is taken. So for the later rounds, he's not as good of a tank, but he does tank very well in the beginning rounds. And when you're using a Zeldor, you're going to have him higher respect. So most likely you're going to have some good damage dealers that you're trying to get the most damage done within the first 4 or 5 rounds. And then Boromir, which has impressed me a lot because I've done a lot of testing with him. And this is why I say he tanks. I tried using him as a hybrid, a damage dealer, and a troop support. I tried doing him just as troop support, but he doesn't work well. The only way he works well is if you're using him as a tank. And again, with stats, you're going to be using, with gear, you're going to be using the stats command and unit defense. But here's his skills. Warden, 3 allied formation units gain 45% chance to evade damage taken from the first 4 hits. When it gets to level 5, that increases to 5. So that's a pretty good skill. Air, each round defense of the commander's formation plus 7. It's modified by command stat command stat, and it can stack up to 10 times when it's maximized. So just say it doesn't scale that well. Let's just say you only get plus 10, okay? Plus 10 defense for the formation. Well, it stacks. So by round, say 4, you're getting plus 40. I don't know the exact numbers on how it scales, but like I said, if only, and I'm only using the number to make it easier for the math. Round 4, he could have plus 40. By round 7, he could have plus 70 because it stacks. So therefore, with him, you get chance to evade for the first few instances of damage, and then you get added defense, which with the troop damage builds, things like that, that's going to help. Plus, you have a Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White for White Council to help in the beginning, and then he's taking at the towards the end of the fight a lot better. So when paired with a Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White, he does even better. So, like I said, my order for which the best tanks, and again, solely tanks for good side, would be Frodo, Falgon, if Falgon doesn't have his relic, Zeldor, and then Boromir. One of the most things that impressed me about Boromir is that he's a tier 1 commander. How easy is it to upgrade and ascend a T1 commander for the free-to-play and the newcomers? And to me, it is very important for all free-to-play or newcomers or low spenders, you have to have a tank in your formation. I don't care who you are, you have to have a tank. You will not do well without one. That is one of the things that helps. Don't want to say equalize, but it does make the game more competitive for the free-to-play, low-spender players. So, first, again, Frodo is the best tank in the game without relics. Falgon, second. Zeldor, third. Boromir, fourth. It's one of the great things about free-to-play. Tanks are available for you to use, and you need to use them in your formations, in your armies. A tank, a sport, and 2 damage dealers is probably the ideal formation setup. So, again, I hope you guys enjoyed this and found it informative. Please like and subscribe my videos. It means a lot to me. It helps keep me going, and I want to get to the level to where I can start giving back to the community more than just my knowledge. If you have questions about gears, commanders, feel free to write me either in the game, Big Al, or on Discord, or leave a comment inside the YouTube chat, and I will get a hold of you one way or another. So that's all. As always, make the most out of what you got.